Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. My guest is Larry Reaugh, President and CEO of American Manganese. Welcome back to the show, Larry.
Thanks, Jim. It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Cobalt still just being talked up like crazy. Some people are saying it could be the move of the year.
Well, it's already, I think, probably a significant move this year, certainly last year, and I can't see that lessening any at all. I mean, basically, there's no more new cobalt except for the Katanga that's coming on, and cobalt's going to be front and center here for the rest of this year. And I did say in the podcast last week that I expected it to hit $8,000. Well, guess what? While I was talking, it hit that, and or $80,000 a ton. So, I'm still forecasting higher prices. As far as I can see, that everything's adding up to much higher prices. So, cobalt is definitely the centerpiece on the table for most of the mining companies at this moment. Lithium enjoyed that spot for the last couple of years, and now it's cobalt's turn. Bloomberg are also talking about vanadium, and we haven't looked in that direction for recycling, but that is a direction that we certainly will look at. And I want to tell everybody that we're not going to. We will be doing, as funds become more available, we will be doing some R&D on other chemistries, just to see if our process would work on that. We know we got a winner in our hands right now, and that's what we want to try and get some cash flow out of as quickly as possible, so we won't have to go back to the markets for money all the time. And we did have, as I mentioned in the podcast last week, we did have interest in people wanting to put money if I was doing a financing. And I've, now I'm looking at a significant amount. So, and we have to do a financing, even if we're in talks with potential partners, that won't come around fast enough. We don't want to lose momentum. And I think that if we did a financing in the $1 million+ range currently, that we wouldn't have to finance again this year because we have warrants that are coming due that could give us a couple of $1 million before the end of the year. So I think that everything's coming up for a perfect storm for the company. Certainly, I expect that we will be picked up internationally by the investment funds as well as the interested parties in what we do, being the people that are involved in the industry, for example, or the financial news and Bloomberg. I imagine we'll start hitting the radar screens of other financial institutions. So I'm looking at a real bright future for the company. As you know, I'm off to California next week to the Bloomberg Mobility Conference, where I will be on a panel down there. And so the company's going to get really great exposure amongst about 300 registered attendees. I know they were going to try and stop it at 200, but they're up to 300 now. And so that's always a plus. I mean, you always walk away with some gain from anything you go to. For example, the conferences we went to earlier, some of the people that we're talking to today are contacting us from conferences we attended, and they heard us 3-4 months ago. And why is that? Well, the ground is shifting as I speak. The ground keeps shifting. It becomes more prominent that we, as I said in a podcast on the floor at the resource conference, we are not a alternate supply, but we would be part of the supply chain for cobalt, not alternate. That's a word from the past. And so I think, those that have been patient with the company will be rewarded this year. And I can't say exactly when, but We're not going to stay in this area forever. You know, we might move up and down a little bit, up and down a little bit, but one day you can only hold a spring down so long, and it's going to, you know, spring upwards. And that's the day I'm waiting for. It's going to take some sort of news, but we're the company that, you know, creates the opportunity for news. So I think that will be forthcoming somewhere along the line. But I know I get criticized for doing financings, but I've only done 2 decent-sized financings since we started this program. And we had $900,000 worth of debt to pay off, which has been done. And there's still a small debt which is owed to myself and another director. But the basic thing is that, you know, the money was well spent, you know. Pay the debt, progress the property. Is no longer a proof of concept. It's more of a sure thing with the management here and with Chemetco that we do have the tiger by the tail, and the pilot plant will show that we can get it on a continuous basis, and we go from there. The other thing that's been hitting the market is other people, you know, claiming that they're doing recycling and everything like that, and we had one from an international firm that claimed that they recycled lithium-ion batteries. They could do ores and everything else, and it made me think of an old saying, which I won't say because it's a bit vulgar, on the podcast here. But you know, we try to follow up with these things. We find out their email doesn't work. Their site's one page, and you know, and they're making claims that are basically, and a lot of the wording is the same as we use. So some of this stuff is false. Some of it is legitimate. There are people out there trying to get the handle on the recycling, and you'd expect that. Why wouldn't you? I mean, people are starting to realize there's real value in those batteries. I mean, really is a lot of value in those batteries. And just have to remember one thing. We don't have to go out and stake a property, find an anomaly, drill it, come up with resources, then end up doing a feasibility study at the end of that game after we've done a resource study. And the years go by, and the costs keep getting higher and higher and higher as you get into the feasibility and the permitting and bond placing and all of these things that go along with trying to get a mine into production. So you're seeing a lot of cobalt in the ground. You know, Cobalt Ontario is a good example. And one thing I'll say that's a plus for the miners there, I'm not sure about the Ontario laws, but in BC here, you can operate under a small miner's license. So if they do find a rich resource, it's you know, maybe not as big as in the DRC, you may be able to mine within a couple of years under the small mines permit. So, you know, this doesn't necessarily say that every mine is going to have a huge resource study, have to have huge resources or feasibility studies to move ahead. When in reality, you could operate under a small mine permit. So that's a plus side for the explorers for cobalt, and we have a program going on. Remember, we got our finger in the cobalt play that the Australians are going to be doing up on our property, and who knows? One thing I always liked about exploration was that you're only a drill hole away from something that could be totally a game changer for the company. And so, you know, you got to think about that. You know, when the drills start turning, you've seen it. You've seen discovery holes, and you see what happens with the market, and how all of a sudden you become the darling of the street. Well, we got our fingers in both camps, and as I've said before, the manganese is heating up. There's lots of talk about manganese. Well, we certainly have a huge finger in that camp, and it goes along with the critical metals in the U.S. But you know, let's stick with the recycling. The recycling is where we could see some immediate cash flow, and the company could become a viable company that operates out of cash flow.
Larry, can you tell us where American Manganese is traded and how to contact you?
Okay, I'll do that, Jim. Just one more thing I want to say is when I was down at the show, I did 4 videos and 1 podcast like we're doing right now. And we've already put 2 of those out to our readers, a podcast and a very short video. And I apologize for the noise in the background, but I had nothing to do with the mechanics of shooting the videos or doing the podcast. But we've got 3 other videos coming out, and so I won't be doing a podcast next Friday because I'll be in California, and at the Bloomberg conference. So I won't be doing a podcast, but you should be able to get at least 1 or 2 of the videos that are being done out to our shareholders in the next week. And going back to the company, it's a critical metals company, and focusing on recycling lithium-ion batteries. We're listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture under the symbol AMY. We're listed in the U.S. under the symbol AMYZF, and we're listed in Frankfurt under the symbol 2AM. Our website is AmericanManganeseInc.com, and you can reach me at 778-574-4444, or you can email me at LREAUGH@AMYMN.com.
Larry, thank you so much for the update.
Okay, Jim.
My guest has been Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. We were speaking on January 26th. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.